Good morning. My name is Lori Stone. I am the state representative of the new 13th House District, which includes Eastern Warren and Detroit Osborne neighborhood down to I-94. And so, what else do you need to know about me? Our next community conversation, mark your calendar, will be Saturday, February 18th. 11 a.m. The location is still to be determined. Keep an eye out on my e-news and social media. I will update it as we get closer. One of the challenges of adopting a new district is learning the lay of the land, and where the old 28th had several public libraries, had the community centers, we don't have as many public venues. So I have discovered that there's a Detroit Public Library Franklin branch in my new district, which has agreed to, host and be a part of partnering with us. And we also have reached out to several schools, but thankfully, businesses like Tim Hortons open their business location up for public events. So we're very thankful that they've created the space for us to get together and meet. And so this will definitely be a future possibility as we work to identify other spaces that we can meet. Let me start by telling you a little bit about my staff. In Lansing and in district, I have a legislative director. They partner with me on strategizing and moving policy. And that is Dawn Jakubowski. She's been working with me for 4 years. Very experienced, very knowledgeable, and she's a community member, so she knows the needs of our community. I have a new hire constituent director. His name is Devin Dudley. He has experience in Lansing, but he's new to the district. So already hard at work in Lansing. I bring on 1 to 4 interns a semester. Often they're college students. They're there for firsthand experience in the legislature through their internship. They get to help assist in the district office. They provide community support for community events and outreach. They assist with policy development. They attend committee meetings in session. And they get firsthand experiential learning to complement whatever else they're working on, so they're better prepared when they graduate. If you know someone who's interested in interning, please encourage them to reach out to me. As a teacher, it's close to my heart. So let me start with what a community conversation is. So 95% of the 13th House District is new to me. Thank you for everyone who is here. A community conversation for me is a regular update of what your elected officials are working on in Lansing and locally. It is an opportunity for transparency and accountability. It is an opportunity to ask questions, share concerns, request assistance. It is not a public debate forum. What we do encourage participants to share their positions on issues and the reasoning why they feel that way. It is the expectation that this is a situation where respect and civil discourse can occur. And that takes me to what is a state representative. I often found through the first 4 years of my first 2 terms that I heard, I can't bother you, you're too important. And it made me recognize that many local residents didn't understand what the purpose of your state representative is. Your state representative is your customer service agent in Lansing for state government. We work best when you contact us and let us know your needs. That is exactly why I am there. I am there for you to reach out to me. We are lawmakers, which is commonly what people know us to be. We create policy. We address problems. We sit on committees to vet policy that's brought before us. We vote on policy and weigh in on it. We help decide where your tax dollars go and decide on the budget. As our customer service providers in Lansing state government, we help you navigate the bureaucracy. No doubt, sometimes getting through to a department can be frustrating. Sometimes navigating paperwork can be frustrating. Trying to find answers to your questions can be frustrating. But we are uniquely positioned as your state representative to have liaisons and to help get that information for you. I'm very proud of the work I did through the COVID crisis. We helped over 2,000 individuals navigate unemployment. It was the biggest frustration when phone lines were overwhelmed, when the personnel was overwhelmed. Our office continued to work, logging UIA, making sure nobody fell through the cracks, making sure that questions were answered, making sure we could manage expectations. It's hard if you have ever navigated unemployment, it was unlike any unemployment experience before. So we could help gauge wait times, contact times, we could help arrange in-person appointments, and that's just a taste of what we can do when we're asked for assistance. We help vet policies in committees. So when you express a position on issues, remember we also represent 90,000 residents. So it's important to get an understanding of how policy is going to impact local residents. And that's things that we can bring up in committee, in a floor speech, in an op-ed in a newspaper to make people think through the policies that they're proposing. You can always reach out, call, email, attend community conversations, visit me in the Capitol, schedule an appointment for a meeting, a lobbying day. I pride myself on making myself available to my constituents. And you will never hear me ask, did you vote or who you voted for? I work for everyone in this community. I strive to communicate, provide updates and information regularly through community conversations, monthly. I provide mailings periodically, e-newsletters monthly, town halls and roundtables to address specific issues, policy related. Just in November, we teamed with the state fire marshal to address data-driven prevention on fire safety. So dispelling some of the myths and common understandings of who gets injured, dies, or loses property in a fire. And it was fascinating the way that they can now use real-time data to help reach out to communities who are at a greater risk to try to address that. I also visit local businesses and organizations to better understand needs, economic needs, resources that are available in our community. One of the big things I discovered is there are needs in our community, but there's also resources that people aren't aware of. And so sometimes there's the thought that we need to repeat things, but it's more about connecting people with what's already there and then expand on and make sure that those are properly funded. My job is to advocate for community needs. And one of the additional privileges is I have the opportunity to provide recognitions through legislative tributes for special occasions. So if there's a significant landmark, a birthday, a volunteer who's distinguished themselves, a business or organization, an anniversary, these are things that we can offer legislative tributes for. If you reach out to our office, we'd be happy to celebrate with you. So what's the latest from Lansing? We're just getting started on the 102nd legislature. We were seated Wednesday, January 11th, and that's per the state constitution. The second Wednesday of the month is when the legislator takes their position. Democrats are in the majority in both the House of Representatives and the state Senate. That means that they get to set the policy agenda for the next 2 years. Elected leadership better reflects Michigan's population including Joe Tate, who is the first African American Speaker of the House here in Michigan. We're very proud of that. Our agenda is leading with people-led policies. So our first 6 bills have been introduced, and they set the tone for what you can expect going forward. We had a $6 billion revenue surplus coming out of the 101st legislature last year. And so the Democratic legislature is looking to return tax dollars to taxpayers. What does that look like? That looks like an earned income tax credit, which would return earnings to moderate and low income working families, turning those dollars back into pockets. It is the repeal of the senior retirement pension tax that includes additional resources for pensions, IRAs, and 401ks to help fixed incomes go further. We are looking forward to working to repeal legislation that undermines workers' rights to organize, unionize, collectively bargain, the value of their labor that they contribute. We also have introduced a bill on restoring prevailing wage. What that means, it makes sure that workers who work have their wages aren't sacrificed to underbid contracts. So if you bid for public contracts, the workers that our taxpayers are providing good wages and benefits, regardless of who you work for. Those contractors have to guarantee it. We're also repealing the Michigan's 1931 antiquated abortion law because it contradicts the constitutional amendment adopted by Michigan voters in November that guarantees access to safe abortion health care. So we're moving our statutes into alignments with our Constitution. We are we're proposed adopting equal protections for Michigan's LGBTQ rights in the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. I received my committee assignments. I'm very pleased as an educator, career educator, to be assigned for a 3rd term to Education Policy Committee. And I'm glad that a whole heap of bills that were sidelined by the last committee chair and did not get a hearing for 4 years will now have an opportunity to get a hearing. I'm sitting on the Insurance and Financial Services Committee. This is my 3rd term. My 1st term, it was financial services separately, and then insurance separately in my 2nd term. And in my 3rd term, it is insurance and financial services, so I have experience to draw from.
Does that include auto insurance?
That includes all forms of insurance with the exception of UIA that falls under the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunities. Military and Veteran Services, I'm very proud to serve on. I've been an advocate for military and veteran benefits, making sure we're recognizing we're taking care of those people who fought for us. Affordable Housing Subcommittee is a very important issue, key to our community and the communities across the state. So this is a subcommittee which is a smaller focus of a larger economic opportunity committee, which means, this needs a special dedicated attention to how are we going to tackle affordable housing. And I've also been seated on Agricultural Committee. Surprise to me, as I don't think there's been a farm in Michigan for about 50 years, or in Warren, in about 50 years. But I've worked, and it's important for us to know how agriculture fits. We have urban agriculture. We need to know where our food is coming from. We need to know the relationship between fertilizers and environment. And so there's a lot to be said on where our agriculture intersects locally. So I'm excited to start those work committees, start with the organizational hearings next week, and we're getting down to business. I've spent the time setting up your district office. I have no doubt that our offices in Lansing are strictly borrowed at the discretion of our communities, and I have no doubt that I work for you. So thank you for the opportunity, and please reach out to me. We've been hard at work strategizing and doing strategic planning for the full 2 terms. So, the first time you come to office, you're still trying to figure out where everything is. And let me tell you how a bill becomes a law in Lansing does not look like the schoolhouse rock lessons that I taught. It's much more complicated. But 4 years in, we're better situated to strategically plan how to move legislation forward and get support. We've been planning calendars of events, including a senior resource fair and town hall, community conversations going forward. March is Reading Month, focus on the importance of literacy for our students. And that's just in Lansing. So that's 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The other 4 days a week, I'm in district. Mondays and Fridays, I work from home, but no doubt it's more time in the community working with constituents in the community organizations. And even Saturdays and Sundays, when there's events on the calendar, I'm at work for you. I continue to answer constituents' requests and correspondence that I receive. Remote work is more accessible from district than ever before. I continue to work in legislative policy, do research on those days that I'm in district and I'm not in front of session or committees all day. And one of the key issues I'm working on is affordable childcare through the Michigan Tri-Share program. We have the opportunity to open up a hub here in Macomb County. It's going to take cooperation through a variety of entities, but we know that we have 3 issues going on. We have childcare providers that cannot earn wages that are sustainable, but they're taking care of our most important resource, our children, our future. We have workers who have valuable talent and experience and a desire to contribute that have to choose between paying for childcare and earning a paycheck, which may be, literally the same. And then we have employers who are in desperate need of talented workforce that do not have the selection pool to choose from. So, and there's an economic need for affordable childcare, and that will open the door to wider participation in the workforce. And this is the opportunity that it can take meetings virtually, in person, locally. So if you have issues, those are great opportunities to reach out. I also participate in organizations like the Warren Centerline Prevention Coalition that addresses drug use and abuse and other substances with our youth. What else do I do in districts? Well, for example, Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I attended the Macomb County Ministerial Alliance's breakfast, and they were exploring what does the dream mean for us. And the big idea was that we don't just memorialize MLK's legacy one day a year. It is how do you live, how do you love, how do you act in your community, and it was more than diversity. His legacy was poverty, addressing poverty, and justice, every aspect of social justice. So, I just raise that up as we reflect, take the opportunity. How are we living those values today? On Fridays, the last couple weeks, being that 95% of the new 13th House District, I represent a different constituency, from the west side of Warren to the east side of Warren, adding in Detroit. I've taken the time with my staff to familiarize myself with the community. That includes driving it, identifying resources, visiting businesses, visiting schools. So just yesterday, I met with the MSU Extension's 4-H representative at Thompson Center. We have 4-H here in Warren. Blew my mind because isn't that the farm kids? The first time I was introduced to it. But our 4-H program offers leadership, character development, nature, and so many aspects that includes programming that is free and affordable. And so I was talking to Elizabeth Duran, who is our local lead. She works locally, just a few miles from here, and she wants to partner with schools, with community organizations. She has lots of ideas. They have a youth counselor program where they recruit high school students to get involved and be advocates for their community. And in return, they have the opportunity for professional development, volunteerism. She was just telling me they take them to MSU for their expo days, and they do 3 days on a college campus. And she finds the funds to make sure every kid who participates has that opportunity. So part of that is raising up these programs, making sure parents know they're there. There's day camps over school breaks. There is a community garden that anyone can come and participate in. She does junior gardening and master gardening lessons for the community. And 4-H is a wonderful program, and it's alive and well in our community here. I had the opportunity to tour Osborne High School. So being an educator, understanding the needs of our students in our schools and our staff with what's going on is so important. So we visited, we talked to the principal, we had a tour, and she explained that one of the biggest challenges, there is only 400 students that attend Osborne High School because they compete with Martin Luther King High, Cass Tech, Renaissance High, which are much higher visibility for the same student population when you have student of choice or school of choice. And so the one thing that really struck me walking through the halls of Osborne was the personal touch, that it was warm and inviting. There are perceptions about historical of what Osborne High School is or who it represents. And I encourage you to reach out and find out. There's many opportunities through athletics, community events, what changes have occurred at Osborne High School and what that looks like today. And we were talking about all the wraparound services that are on site for students and families, including school-based health centers that also provide mental health care on site, family services on site, DHHS services on site. And so it's important for families to know, you know, when we're making decisions about where our children's next steps are, we really evaluate everything based on what's there now and not looking back at what was before. So I thought, wow, if you could go to a high school with 400 students, what kind of teacher and staff attention do you get? So it was a wonderful experience. I look forward to partnering with them and continuing the work with schools throughout our community. We visited businesses, I spoke with business owners, had the opportunity to introduce myself, and I encourage people to follow me on Facebook to get regular updates. One thing that I take great pride in is during March's Reading Month for 4 years, I have spent every Monday and Friday in district, in schools, reading to students, talking about what a state representative does, what our local government does. And we just had some tour groups from Centerline Elementaries, 5th grades, come visit us in Lansing. And when they came to the floor and they said, "Are you Lori Stone? Are you our state representative?" I don't know that when I was in elementary school, I could name my state representative, let alone identify them. I take great pride in that community outreach, that our children have a better idea of what their rights are, what the role of government is, how government needs to work for us, and how even though they're not a voter, they have the potential to advocate for their needs. So I take great pride in making sure my community knows that I'm here working for them. What's going on around here? Well, we've got Warren's Cold Rush going on today from 2 to 9 p.m. It's free and open to the public. Grab your ice skates. There'll be ice skating, ice carving, and so much more. Put on your long johns and go out and have some fun. I want to wish a prosperous Lunar New Year to all celebrating on Sunday. Our community is a beautiful tapestry of diversity. I represent constituents that include ethnicities from many of the 48 Asian countries, many of who are continue cultural traditions, religious practices, speak languages, make foods, and share their culture and traditions. And as such, I am a member of the Asian Pacific American Caucus in the legislature. That means that I can help address issues regarding representation, education, and educate on Asian hate crimes that were occurring. I would like to invite people, our Warren Symphony Orchestra is still around. They are recipients of the Michigan Arts Council grant, and their next concert is February 12th. They will have you out in time for the Super Bowl, but it is a great opportunity. You're looking for a romantic date night, a musical immersion experience. Check out our Warren Symphony Orchestra. Happy to support them. Mark your calendars. Our next community conversations will be February 18th. That's Saturday at 11 a.m. Also March 18th, Saturday at 11 a.m. Locations to be determined. I want to point out that there are resources up here. I invite you to sign in as a participant. That means that you'll continue to get e-news updates of where events are happening going forward. It also means that if you have questions that you need information on or resources, that I and my staff can follow up with you after this. So having your contact information is important. There's a variety of brochures that are your tax dollar printed. These are available. They're important resources on a variety of topics, help informed by your state departments that address these issues. So whether it's veterans benefits, services for seniors, tenants and landlords, just how about how your state and local government functions, consumer protection. These are available to you today. Take them home. If you need more, reach out. We can send them to you or deliver them to make sure that you have them. There's additional resources that I bring. So we talked about the necessity for food access. Our community's number one ask for support for working families is food. So we have working families who work 40 hours a week. They may piecemeal together multiple jobs in any given week. But at the end of the day and the end of the month, their paychecks aren't going to make sure that their food and nutrition is met. And it's a sad state that when you're a working person in this country of abundance, that you can't feed your own family. So I make sure that people in our community know where they can have access. We know that we have important resources right here to make sure needs are met. We have many distribution points at many different times. We have food pantries. People contribute when they have it, and it's there when you need it. So this is Food Finder app was developed by a University of Michigan graduate who saw the need in the community and said, what can we use to take technology and make sure that these resources are more accessible with the dignity of our community. And so Food Finder is just one app. It's not the only, but it is available, and I have information. His ultimate goal was making sure that students who get free lunches during the school day still were having healthy breakfasts, healthy dinners, and when they were on holidays and weekends, they were still getting their nutrition needs met. So take it, share it, pass it, pay it forward. If you want more information, they will do presentations to local community organizations. It's important information to have out in the community. This week, I had the opportunity to meet with Attorney General Dana Nessel. Her staff provided a comprehensive overview of what her department does. When I was elected 4 years ago, they were still organizing the department. I didn't have all this information. 2 years ago, we were dealing with COVID, and we didn't have all this information. Now, it was impressive. I knew it a great deal of services that the Attorney General's office provides, but it was impressive to see all the things that I didn't even realize or that they're organizing and adding to meet needs. So one of the issues I hear overwhelmingly in the community is consumer complaints, businesses that are not or that are bad actors that are not acting in the interest of their who they're serving, as well as scams. I mean, I don't open my email anymore without someone telling me that I purchased something I never purchased, that I have a overdue invoice somewhere, and it's very easy to see how people who, are going through and they say, I got a bill out there. I don't remember making this purchase. I better reach out and let them know when they're collecting your information to exploit you. So it is important to take the time, whether it's robocalls, whether it's phishing, online, emails, to collect what information you have and to pass it along to the Attorney General's office. These flyers have easy peasy all the information on how to get a hold of the office. Take one for a friend. It does me no use sitting in my office. This is all intended to be out in the community.
Did I hear you say that was also telemarketers?
Telemarketers and robocalls, yep. If they're not following the rules, then they are accountable. So now is the part where we open it up for question and answers, right? This is about accountability and transparency. Is our government working for you? What needs aren't being met? What are the concerns that you still have outstanding? What are resources I can connect you with? And what is some things that I need to take back to Lansing to work on?